Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back to another installment of The Now Review. And it's that time we've got a brand new release, and this time we're going all the way back to the 1960s. Some would consider a golden age, a turning point in the history of pop music. And we have an album that I'm assuming is aiming to cover all of that ground, or at least as much of it as it can. So join me for the rather colourful, rather upbeat, now that's what I call 60s pop. So the 60s is no stranger to now. We've had several 60s themed albums over the last year. Now that's what I call 60s, forgotten 60s, 60s number ones, 60s girls. Do you know what I mean? We aren't exactly strangers to this genre, but this is the first time one's openly said this is 60s pop. You know, forget any other genres that were developing at the time. We're solely focusing on pop music, and pop music definitely underwent a radical change throughout that decade, throughout the 1960s. So I'll be interested to see how much of it covers. As you can see, we've got two versions similar to the yearbooks or some of the other releases. I have a 4-disc CD version and a 3LP vinyl edition, so that's quite exciting. But first of all, let's take a look at the CD first. So looking at this cover, obviously 60s everywhere. You've got the Now logo front and center there with some 60s font where it says that's what I call, and indeed where it says 60s pop. Now, I mean, look, there's so much going on here. They've crammed it all in. There's like Flower Power, there's the Union Jack, like mods and rockers and the soul of Motown and black and white spirals and lots of colour and people dancing and like the London scene, Carnaby Street, all that sort of stuff. The mini, it's all happening. It's all happening. This is trying to encompass all the different facets that made the 60s pop scene so special to a lot of people. And you know what? I actually quite like it. I like the fact this cover is so cluttered and that there's so much going on. You know, they haven't put an example of some of the artists featured, but I think for this cover, that kind of works. Having the artist like names there as text, that would have pushed it over the edge a little bit for me, but I'm glad we've got a nice collage of so many different facets from the 1960s. But will the track list live up to it? That's what we're about to find out. So let's flip this on over and take a look at the all-important track list. So, we are kicking off with John Lennon and Yoko Ono and Give Peace a Chance. Peace was definitely a big motive in the 60s, certainly. We have The Who, another big band with My Generation. The Animals with We've Got to Get Out of This Place. Manfred Mann and Pretty Flamingo. Jerry and the Pacemakers with How Do You Do It. Herman's Hermits with I'm Into Something Good. The Hollies with Bus Stop. The Box Tops with The Letter. The Temptations and Get Ready. Four Tops with I Can't Help Myself, Sugar Pie Honey Bunch. Roy Orbison with In Dreams. Surprised it wasn't oh, what's his other big one? Roy Orbison. Pretty Woman, that's the one I'm thinking of. We have Bobby Vinton and Blue Velvet. Bob Dylan with Positively 4th Street. The Crazy World of Arthur Brown with Fire, an excellent song, very underrated, really crazy. Exactly what the 60s is about for me. You have The Move with Blackberry Way, love that song as well. Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick and Titch with The Legend of Xanadu. Yep, try and say that 3 times fast. You have Zager and Evans within the year 2525. The Spencer Davis Group with Keep On Running. Tom Jones with It's Not Unusual, great track of his, one of his best. Lulu and the Lovers with Shout, again, excellent track there. You have Marvin Gaye and Kim Weston with It Takes Two, and Nina Simone closes off with Ain't Got No or I Got Life from the musical Hair. So 22 tracks there, adorning CD1. Some big names missing from CD1, I'm not going to lie, and I think you know what I'm talking about, but we'll see, let's continue on. CD2 kicks off with Simon and Garfunkel with Mrs. Robinson, of course famously heard in The Graduate. You have The Byrds with Mr. Tambourine Man, The Mamas and the Papas with Monday Monday, The Flower Pot Men with Let's Go San Francisco, Scott McKenzie with San Francisco. Oh, 2 San Francisco songs back to back, that's quite odd, isn't it? Stone Ponies and Linda Ronstadt with Different Drum, Sonny and Cher with I Got You Babe, The Crystals and Do Ron Ron, The Chiffons with Sweet Talking Guy, The Ronettes with Baby I Love You, The Beach Boys, it was a lot of wasn't it? The Beach Boys would Do It Again. The Monkees with I'm a Believer. Ohio Express with Yummy Yummy Yummy. Elvis Presley's here, of course, with Wooden Heart. David Bowie is here as well with The Laughing Gnome, I think one of the earlier songs that he did. The Tokens with The Lion Sleeps Tonight, that one you're thinking of. Little Peggy March with I Will Follow Him. The Toys and A Lover's Concerto. Bobby Hebb with Sunny. Jeff Beck with Hi Ho Silver Lining. Julie Driscoll, Brian Auger and the Trinity with This Wheel's on Fire, Traffic in Hole in My Shoe, and Peter Sarsdet with Where Do You Go To, My Lovely. So 23 tracks there. Again, some of those big artists, I'm not seeing them, so it's getting a bit concerning. But, you know, 45 tracks so far. Let's see what the second half of the album has. We kick off with the Everly Brothers and Kathy's Clown, Cliff Richard and the Shadows with The Young Ones, the Righteous Brothers with Unchained Melody, which of course has been covered a countless amount of times, The Walker Brothers with Make It Easy on Yourself, Diane Warwick with Do You Know the Way to San Jose, Petula Clark with Downtown, a big 60s tune there, Sandy Shaw with Long Live Love, Andy Williams with Can't Take My Eyes Off You, Julie London with Fly Me to the Moon, Astrud Gilberto and Walter Wanderley, I hope I'm saying that right, with Call Me, Georgie Fame and the Blue Flames with Yeah Yeah, The Drifters with Up on the Roof, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons with Ragdoll, Stevie Wonder with I Was Made to Love Her, Maurice Williams and the Zodiacs with Stay, Bruce Chanel with Hey Baby, I think it's the one I'm thinking of, Billy J. Kramer with Do You Want to Know a Secret, Freddie and the Dreamers with You Were Made for Me, Jackie DeShannon with When You Walk in the Room, The Mindbenders with A Groovy Kind of Love, The Trogs with Lovers All Around, and the Tremolos with Silence is Golden, an excellent pop track there. So 22, so we're on 67, and yeah, basically, no Beatles, no Rolling Stones, maybe on the last disc, we'll see. We have Ike and Tina Turner with River Deep, Mountain High, The Supremes with Stop in the Name of Love, Martha and the Vandellas with Dancing in the Street, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles with Going to a Go, Aretha Franklin with Respect, Helen Shapiro with Walking Back to Happiness, Dusty Springfield's here with I Only Want to Be With You, gorgeous song, Love Affair with Everlasting Love, The Foundations and Baby Now That I Found You, The Searchers with Needles and Pins, The Easy Beats with Friday on My Mind, The Honeycombs with Have I the Right, Tommy Rowe with Dizzy, Marmalade with Obla Dee Obla Da, The Scaffold with Lily the Pink, very interesting track, The Fifth Dimension with Up, Up and Away, Matt Monroe and Born Free, Mama Cass with Make Your Own Kind of Music, Esther and A.B. Ofarim, I hope I'm saying that correctly, with Cinderella Rockefeller, Serge Gainsbourg and Jane Birkin with Je t'aime moi non plus, and Skeeter Davis with The End of the World, and finally we have Engelbert Humperdinck with The Last Waltz, a fitting title for the last track. So we have 89, that's right, 89 tracks on a 4-disc album, nearly pushing that 90 mark there. But I've got my opinions on this track list, but we'll get to that in just a little second. So opening this up, as you can see, this is like most standard Now albums these days, where it opens up like this. It's in the more environmentally friendly, more like cardboard packaging as opposed to a jewel case. And of course, aside from the adverts and following Now on their socials and stuff, on the inside you can see that each disc has its own unique colour, which again, for the 60s, I think works a treat. I'm glad they've done that. So flower power all the way adorning the disc, but disc 1 you have a sort of blue tone, disc 2 is yellow, disc 3 is purple, and disc 4 is more pink. So yes, very glad they went for individual colours for this one. I think it fits that 60s theme really well. It probably would have been more expensive, but I kind of wish they'd have made the discs just as cluttered, as the front cover was, but maybe that would have been too difficult. But yeah, lovely disc design there. So yeah, 89 tracks, that's a lot of music, That's certainly a lot of music, but there are a few big hitters missing again. There's no Beatles, no Rolling Stones, and I could go on. And as always with Now, they've only got rights to certain things. I know with the Beatles, they're quite, they hold on tight to the rights for that, which is completely understandable. This is up to the musicians or whoever owns them. They technically do have some Beatles representation, from the very first track, because it's a John Lennon track. But yeah, no Beatles and nothing like that. So some who would be looking for a very definitive 60s pop album might feel a little bit shortchanged with this, the fact that they aren't here. But, there's still quite a breadth of pop there across the 1960s represented on this album. In my view, anyway, lots of great songs in there, lots of bangers for sure. But I'm actually interested now, in terms of where you can get this, if you do decide you want, if this is your first 60s compilation, I'd probably recommend this for sure. It's retailing for about £10. You can get it from all the usual places, HMV, Amazon, supermarkets that still stock new CDs, or any independent music retailers that still stock CDs, you can get it from there. Then our website itself you can get it from. But that's the CD. I want to know which of these 89 tracks made it over to the vinyl version. So here it is, the 3LP vinyl, and I don't know if you can tell, the front cover is slightly different. Now, of course, with vinyl covers, they are blown up slightly, aren't they? But it seems this one doesn't have as much colour in it. You can see in the background there's a lot of just plain white, and a lot of the colour out of the title, and now that's what I call 60s pop, has gone. And I'm not sure whether they've done this to try and differentiate it on the shelves a bit more, because all the iconography is the same. You've still got the flower power, you've still got the the people dancing, the car, the records, the phone box, the Carnaby Street, it's all there. So yeah, just a very, very interesting different design choice there, if you ask me, that they've gone for. Now, as always, these come in one package. It isn't a gatefold sleeve, unfortunately, so they are cramming 3 LPs into one sleeve, which always makes it, a little bit bulging, and I always stress that it does make it a little bit more prone to damage. Obviously, that's not guaranteed to happen, but it's just something I think it's good to be aware of anyway. But as I said, there's 89 tracks on the CD, so how many of them made it on over to good old vinyl? Let's find out. Let's look at the all-important track list for the LPs. So LP1 Side A has Give Peace a Chance, My Generation, We've Got to Get Out of This Place, Positively 4th Street, I Got You Babe, I Only Want to Be With You, Long Live Love, Shout, and It's Not Unusual. So 9 tracks. That's quite a lot for these now vinyls. That's 9 tracks on one side. So on side B, you have Unchained Melody, Make It Easy on Yourself, Can't Take My Eyes Off You, Fly Me to the Moon, Do You Know the Way to San Jose, Call Me, Downtown, Cinderella Rockefeller, and Je T'aime Moi Non Plus. So another 9 tracks, that's 18 total there for LP1. LP2 has Stop in the Name of Love, Dancing in the Street, Do Ron Ron, Sweet Talking Guy, Fire, In the Year 2525, Do You Want to Know a Secret, I'm Into Something Good, How Do You Do It, and Love Is All Around. So 10 tracks on one side. Oh, I severely hope the quality isn't compromised, that's for sure. Side B then has Kathy's Clown, In Dreams, Blue Velvet, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, Pretty Flamingo, Blackberry Way, Bus Stop, Silence is Golden, and Wooden Heart. So 9 tracks there. So 19 on LP2. So we're on 37 so far. Let's see how many LP3 crams on. So we have Mrs. Robinson, Mr. Tambourine Man, Monday Monday, San Francisco, Everlasting Love, Different Drum, Do It Again, I'm a Believer, and The Young Ones. Another 9 tracks there. So let's now move on to side B. We have River Deep Mountain High, Respect, I Was Made to Love Her, I Can't Help Myself, Get Ready, Baby Now That I Found You, A Lover's Concerto, Stay, End of the World, and The Last Waltz. So another 10 tracks. So another 19, which means, folks, we have a amazingly grand total here of 56. That's right, 56 tracks on a vinyl. That's got to be a record for a new now vinyl release, certainly. Now, a reason why that is because a lot of tracks in the 60s were inherently shorter. A lot of them were under 3 minutes, so it makes sense that they can cram more on. But still, I'm very impressed. They've got a big slice of the CD album there. Now, if your favourite's not on here, that might not be an incentive to buy this, but 56 tracks ain't bad going for a 3LP vinyl. Now let me show you one of the discs. Thankfully, they haven't gone for the standard black. They have gone for a coloured disc this time, and it's white. So here we go. Here's one of the discs. They are all like this in white vinyl. Kind of a baffling choice, really. Again, it might have been a bit more expensive for them, but I would have wanted them to push the boat out a bit more. Maybe have like a splatter vinyl that they do, like a mishmash of colours or like a tie-dye thing. You know, something very 60s, very flower powery sort of thing. White just seems, by contrast, white just seems very standard, very dull, I've got to be honest. But yeah, if you like different coloured vinyl, then this LP release certainly has it for you. Now, in terms of how much this is where you can get it for, it retails for between £30 and £35, depending on where you get it from. Again, it's available from HMV, Amazon, the Now website itself, any independent music retailer you have that will stock this. So, you know, for 3 LPs, for 56 tracks on a vinyl, roughly £10 a disc, I always say that's not necessarily a bad financial deal, but I would say comb over the track list with a bit more care than you would the CD, because this is a bigger investment, you know, and obviously you've got to have a vinyl player, you've got to be into this sort of stuff, so only grab this if you feel it's going to be worth it for you, if you're going to be spinning this on your turntable, or if you're just a big fan of the 60s and you want this to add to your collection. So that is the coverage of both of these. And I've got to say, as a 60s compilation from now, this is pretty solid. I am happy with what we're being offered here. You know, we're getting stuff from near the start of the decade, towards the end of the decade, and everything in between. You're getting some of the big hitters, you're getting some of the more quirky stuff, some of the stuff that gets forgotten about today, but will like re-spark in your mind the minute you hear it. It's just a shame that I'm guessing due to rights, you know, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, those really, really era-defining, those big artists that changed the moment aren't featured here, but I've got to give props to Now. To put out a 60s album without them and still come up with the amount of tracks here, I think that's fair dues. And some of them have popped up on other Now 60s releases before, so again, if this isn't your first rodeo with 60s releases from Now, check what you've got, see if this is worth it. But if this is your first Now, which is like 60s theme that you're going for, I would absolutely recommend the CD 100%. The vinyl, again, if you've got the kit and you want to spin it on your turntable, then go for it. I'm not sure if this is limited. Normally these releases are by, say, a few thousand copies. So with the vinyl in particular, get it while you can, because otherwise it's going to be flagged for stupid amounts of money. But that's all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like on this video. It really does help us out. And let me know in the comments, are you going to be grabbing Now 60s Pop? And if you are you going for the CD, are you going the vinyl, for both, or are you passing? And if you are, why are you passing on this one? Also, subscribe to us here at AMTV Now. We would love to have you aboard. I've been Adam Martin from AMTV Now, and we'll see you next time for another spin on the turntable.